Welcome back to the channel, y'all. I am Tiara, aka Exclusive Edition. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I'm trying to do better by uploading. We are in the middle of Vlogmas, so this should be day 17. So welcome. I do see y'all. I got like 10 new subscribers. So I really appreciate it. So I understand now that pushing out content gains, followers. So y'all, today, as you can see by the title, this is yet another story time. The setting takes place during the middle of nursing school. So, the homeless story that I told you guys was like the very beginning of nursing school. This also happened uh, my first fall. No, second fall, 2019. No, 2018. Sorry, first fall. So, you guys, I was in the middle of nursing school. You guys know the climate. I told you how the climate was. I was dealing with basically being homeless. I was dealing with, which I was going to make another story time about my truck, but that's not really worth mentioning. But during this time, my motor did go out in my truck also. So you're talking about staying with a friend. You're talking about in the middle of driving someone else's car until you figure out what's going on with your car. So my motor even, could put it on me. So I'm dealing with all of that. At this time, I am working at an office. I don't know if you guys remember me telling you that I got a little office assistant job. So I started working there that July of 2018, I believe. Um, so I had been there for a few months. Um, and what I recall happening is my sister gave me a call. Um, I guess I should back up and give you guys a little backstory just because y'all know I like to keep things clear. I like to give a little back history so you can understand like where my feelings are coming from, what I'm trying to say, thoughts that are going on in my head. So, when it comes to my biological father, because I did not grow up with him in a household, I actually had a stepdad. That, by the way, always told us there was no such thing as steps in the house. The only steps were the ones outside going down the porch. So he had that type of mindset, and I really appreciated him. However, my biological father did not raise me. So my father was some years older than my mother. My mother had me when she was young, and they were together. And then I think they had my brother, and then they split up. Now, Papa was a rolling stone, y'all. Papa was a rolling stone. Papa was fine. Dad was nice looking. So, of course, he was, popular with the ladies, that type of situation. Um, and we lived in a small rural community, mainly white, but there is a subsection where, all kind of the black people live. So everybody knows each other. I mean, it's very small. Everybody's in everybody's business. Everybody's basically family. Y'all know how the scenario goes. So, um, I literally lived less than, I was going to say 5 miles, but less than 3 miles, 2 miles away from my father. Um, so it's not like he was in another city, in another state, lived really, really close. However, the relationship, just was not there. Um, he does have about 12 kids total, different baby mothers. And y'all, I'm not saying any of this to bash anybody, to make anybody look bad. I'm just stating facts. This is public knowledge. Um, so we lived in a small town. Everybody knows each other. Um, my mother had two children by him, me and my eldest brother. Um, and there was no relationship. Even though we lived minutes away, he did have some relationships with his other children. But it just seemed like when it came to me and my brother that we always felt left out. I'll say that. We felt, just, you could tell the treatment was different. You could tell that he just wasn't as involved with us. He didn't really know us. Um, Kids can feel that, especially when you're young. When you're young, you sense everything, even more so than you do when you're older because of life experiences. But when you're young and innocent, you don't know anything. You have all these feelings coming to the surface, but you can't describe them because you're a kid. But then when you get older, you can look back and say, oh, okay, I recognize that feeling because that was A, B, and C, and it was caused by A, B, and C. So um, I remember my mother telling us, there was times when he would say that he was going to pick us up and he didn't show up, and so we became disappointed. So what she ended up doing was having our clothes packed, having everything ready, and then unbeknownst to us, if he did show up, it would be more of a surprise. So that way, if he didn't show up, we didn't know any better. We didn't know he was supposed to be coming in the first place. Just over the years, we still stayed the same distance from one another. It's not like he moved or we moved. We would see each other generally, but it was just also always very, not strange, but just weird because guess what? I don't know this person. Unfortunately, I don't even know my own father, and he doesn't really know me. I mean, it's more like a I know of you relationship, and that's really, really sad. And once again, like I said, I'm just keeping it real from my perspective. Now, when you have these type of situations with multiple kids involved, obviously all the kids don't feel that way because guess why? Some of the kids formed a relationship with him. So they do know him as dad. They do know him as, being in the household, providing, joking, laughing, knowing somebody. You know your father because you lived with him. So, I can't speak from that aspect, and I'm not going to try to and pretend that I can. Um, I got to speak from my heart and what I grew up experiencing. So, just over the years, you guys, the relationship never went anywhere. Um, as we got older, young adults, me nor my brother really reached out, and I think it's pretty fair to say that that is to be expected because the bond was never built, the foundation was never there, and technically, it's not a child's place to reach out to the parent, regardless of how old you are. Now, I do understand having a sense of, okay, I'm grown now. I want to change things. I want to have a relationship with my father or my mother or whoever it is that's missing. And I tried to do that, but it's not anything that stayed consistent. It's not anything that was just on my mind so heavy to the point where I made it a point to do that. And I think it was just because there was no bond. There was no real push there. I didn't even feel comfortable really trying to pursue that, you know? And of course, you get older, you go about your way. I moved here, towards the St. Louis area. My brother stayed in the area. He still is in the area. I will say it did affect him much more than it affected me. And that's even early on. And that's only natural. I mean, every boy needs their father. Um, and it's crazy because you don't even understand or know how people are affected by something until years later or until they tell you this is how they feel about the situation. So to us, it was just always one of those situations that was like, hey, this is what it is. Dad doesn't really communicate with us. We know of him. We can go by there. And it'd be somewhat cordial, I'm not saying that he wasn't a good guy, that he didn't bring joy and laughter to people's lives. I'm sure he did. But that's just not the way that I remember him, unfortunately. And so, as we got older, like I said, we went our different ways, and it really became sporadic. I mean, now we're adults living our own lives. Nobody's reaching out to anybody on either end, and it just kind of is what it is, And I'll be honest and tell you guys that I am the type. I'm a very, 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 very logical thinker. I'm more logical than I am emotional. That's why I told you guys back in the day I didn't used to be emotional, but life has brought me to my knees in a lot of areas, and I've learned to be vulnerable. I've learned to be emotional and let my feelings, not always give my feelings the back seat all the time. I don't know if you want to call it suppression, uh, thought blocking. I don't know. But I learned early in the game, and I'm so grateful, that I did. that you can't force people to be who you want them to be. It does not matter if they are friend, family, or foe. People are going to be who they are. So it's just in your best interest to understand that this is this person. They can't meet me where I want them to meet me. It is what it is. And I'm not getting ready to lose any sleep at night because that person is sleeping well. Why shouldn't I? You know, I mean, people literally are who they are. You can't change them like that. You know, they have to have a heart that wants to change. So, and I was young knowing this. So I had more of a, dang, I'm sad. But then, you know, as I was growing up, I grew out of it. I grew out of that yearning for your father, that expecting him to be there for holidays, that hope and wishing that he would show up, um, and those type of natural feelings that kids have. Um, I do think on my brother's part, he tried to go around him a little bit more, tried to hang out a little bit more, but it just never seemed to work. It just was, you know, kind of false all the way around. Um, so you know that's you know, unfortunately that's just the backstory. That's how things were. And like I said, I'm not here to bash anybody. That's just the way things went, you know. And I'm not here to whine and complain about it. I'm not here to say I was done wronged and oh my God, you know, woe is me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling y'all how it was, okay? So, I remember being at work. I feel like I was at work. I believe so. I don't know. And I stepped out and I took a call from my sister on my dad's side. And I just remember her telling me that dad was diagnosed with a certain illness. I won't say everything just out of respect, you know. But, and this is what the doctors were saying, you know, this is how long he had to live. And I can't even begin to explain the type of feeling that I had. It was a mix of instant sorrow. It was a mix of, wow, like this is really happening right now. Like, why now? It was a instant reflection of what wasn't, you know. And now I understand why people say time is short because it is. It is. And of course, I was at work, so I was kind of caught off guard. And I'm just like, sis, are you serious? You know? And, you know, of course, you can hear the pain in my sister's voice. And it's just like, oh, wow. So feelings come to the surface that you don't even expect to come to the surface. Feelings that you didn't even know that you had. And, you know, I was instantly saddened. And, I felt it. You know, just because we didn't really have a relationship, at the end of the day, that's still my dad. Like, that's still, you know, the person that helped bring me into this world. And then, you know, you try to put yourself in a place of how he's feeling. You're trying to sort out, you know, okay, now that I have this information, what do I do next, you know? And I just came to the conclusion that the best thing that I could do was just try to be there as much as I can. Moral support, being physically there, words of encouragement. I mean, you know, what do you say to a man that has found out that he's terminally ill? So, I mean, I was just a mess of emotions, you guys. Just a mess because, like I told you, I had just started this job, only been there for a couple months. In the middle, you know, the beginning stages of nursing school, so I'm still trying to sort things out. Still in my homeless situation, still borrowing someone's car because I don't have my own, and then this news. So when I heard the news, I just instantly was like, Lord, what else? What else? You know, seriously. I mean, I'm a strong girl. Don't get me wrong. All day long, I'm strong. But at the same time, do you have to lay it on this thing? Do you really have to do this right now? Like, I mean, I'm here. I am trying to achieve this goal. I've gotten, you know, halfway to the finish line. This is the last stretch. Lord, I just need 2 more years. And so I felt guilty because my focus had to be primarily on nursing school. Through it all, y'all. Through it all. I cannot afford to, you know, let my grades slip. I cannot afford to let all my hard work up until this point be taken away. And I know that may sound cold. That may sound, I don't even know what. But this is something that I worked hard for, you know, and I believe at the end of the day, my father would be proud of me right now, you know, because he preached education. He did do that. And he would be proud that I made it through. And I don't think that anyone, including family, like my sisters even told me, you know, sis, because I had to apologize a lot of times. I'm like, you know, there were certain things that were going on. You know, of course, they're getting things ready. People are moving into the house to help take care of him. You know, things have to be arranged, medication. I'm just a lot with a sick person. And I wasn't there to really help with any of that because I was in the middle of nursing school. I was driving, you know, miles from home to get to work and then go to school. And then after school, go home and get enough sleep so I can pop up and do it all over again on top of finding the time to do my homework, have a little bit of a social life. And when I say social life, I primarily mean my boyfriend. I spent any, you know, downtime that I had with him because I've told y'all before now that these nursing programs are extremely rigorous. They tell you literally the first day of orientation, hey, you know, you're at a point in your life where this program is going to take up a lot of your time. Be, be prepared to basically even, you know, put your family on the back burner. You know, you're going to have to arrange some things. You know, your fathers and the men in the household are going to have to step up and get the children fed. And y'all going to have to put your kids on the schedule because they need to go to bed so you can study. You know, on top of a lot of people worked full time in the program. I started off working. So at this time, matter of fact, I was working full time. So I'm working 40 hours, going to school 2 days a week, clinicals on the weekend, in somebody else's car, in somebody else's house. Y'all, I was stressed. Your girl was stressed, okay? I kept it calm and cool, but on the inside, I was tired. I was emotionally tired. I was physically tired, mentally drained. I mean, it takes a lot of brain power to start memorizing and understanding, you know, names of medication and what they do, and, you know, just all these different nursing strategies and techniques and, you know, concept maps and just the whole nursing field, period, the whole medical field. There's so much to learn. So I'm slowly breaking down on the inside. Um, but I kept it cool. I kept it calm. I kept, you know, prayer. I just kept praying, Lord, if you can just, you know, wake me up another day, if you can just wake me up another month, if you can just get me through this next semester, Lord, just get me to next year. You know, give me some mercy and some grace. Because I was going through, y'all. And people don't even know that because I don't make it a habit to sit and whine and complain and all that type of stuff. Um, so the doctors gave him an amount of time. And in that amount of time, like I said, I still didn't get to see him the way that I wanted to, just because there was no time. And where he was back home, you know, where I was, you know, where I grew up. And I was here at least an hour away. So there was just no downtime. I did go, and my brother went and spent, you know, a couple of days that we could, went to family gatherings. He owned a club. You know, we had an event at the club. I don't know if it was Christmas or Thanksgiving. Um, but I do have those clips. I saved a lot of stuff over the years. I have those clips of his club and us singing and just gathering as a big family back when you could gather because life was fun back then. Um, but I mean, and I mean, there's not really much more to say other than that. Um, he did end up passing away one day before my birthday, I believe. And of course, I was at work when I got the news. My boss was very, very supportive, you know. So I left, took some time off. And this to me is where I was really disturbed. This is where I really felt some type of way. So, you know, we have his funeral. And I guess sitting there and hearing other people tell stories about your father and is mind-boggling because these are things that I don't even know. Who are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know that about him. I discovered, obviously, I get my love of music. from him. I learned that he loved music. It's just so sad that you had to learn, not you, but I had to learn about my father and who he was as a person at his funeral. That is horrible. I felt so just, I don't know if the word was betrayed. I don't know if I just felt remorse. I just felt like if I didn't know this was my father, I wouldn't know who this was laying up here. You know what I mean? Because these stories don't seem familiar. I don't know the kind of jokes that he told. I don't know his favorite food. I don't know his favorite color. I know that he did love to sing. I know he did love Luther Vandross. Uh, I know he was a handsome guy. I know I look more like him than I look like my mom, to most people. Um, like I know superficial things that anybody would know. I don't know intimate details as a daughter. I don't know what it feels like for him to tell me I'm proud of you. I don't know what it feels like for him to give me a hug at night before bed. I don't know those type of things. So to hear other people get up and give their remarks and tell how good of a man he was and what happened during this time, and it really hit home when I had an uncle on my mother's side get up and tell the audience that he was one of his favorite hunting buddies, and he told an anecdote about how he scared him one time in the woods. I mean, and it was uplifting. It was eye opening and everything. It was entertaining, but I still don't know this person. So obviously, when it was time to wrap it up and go, um, everybody started crying because it was time to like go up and see him. And me and my brother went up and saw him, and tears rolled down, but I didn't boo-hoo, of course, like a lot of my siblings. But it was sad to see. It was sad to see. It was sad to know that that opportunity to bond is forever gone. Um, and I remember sitting back down, and I remember I just started crying. It was just so sad. Of course, all my other siblings are crying. It's a sad moment, and uh, I was crying because, and my sister asked me on my mother's side. She said, "Sis, when you were crying, like, in other words, what were you crying for?" Because she knows the history. I said, you know what? It was sad, and I can't, sit here and say that I'm crying because he's gone, and well, I'm crying because he's gone, but because we had a relationship that will never be again because we never had the relationship. I said, more than anything, I'm crying because of a lack of what could have been. I'm crying because there was never ever anything there. I'm crying, from a place of regret, a place of a little girl that never had her daddy, you know. And I'm trying not to choke up right now. I didn't think that would hit me like that, but it's a real thing, y'all. It's real. And I ain't trying to get emotional on here, y'all, but um, it was eye opening, and I understand when people say that death changes you because it definitely does. It definitely does. It 100% opens your eyes to a lot. You get to see how people react. You get to see who's there for you, who's not. You get to see how people act over belongings. You get to reflect on your own feelings and your own mortality. You understand that life is short. It's devastating. It's devastating. Um, and I still don't think I've really dealt with all the feelings just because, y'all, I'm just now getting out of nursing school. And I was still in a place of go, go, go. Let's get this done. Let's push. Let's move. You had to be like military minded. You had to put yourself on the schedule. You had to set everything else to the side. If it meant not cooking dinner, if it meant, what I'm saying, taking a nap so you can get back up again and do some homework. It meant carving out time that you didn't even really have, you know? So, I had to deal with my emotions in that moment and keep pushing. So now that I'm out of nursing school and I have a little bit more free time, now I can start the process. Now I can be like, dang, wow, that's really what happened. And I told y'all, before this 2 years, I was the girl that had never really met any adversity. I was the girl that life went grand for. I got everything I wanted. Everything was fine and dandy. spoiled by life. I just hadn't experienced anything yet. And then what I consider, the most challenging time of my life, so far, all this happens. So I'm just like, there is something that does not want me to complete this goal. Or either the Lord is really, really testing me. He has to be testing me. And I preach this over and over and over and over again. And I tell y'all to be grateful during the valleys. It determines, your success on the mountaintop. You have to still give praise. You still have to thank Him. You still have to focus on the positive. You still have to speak encouragement and life into yourself. If nobody else does, you have to be your own cheerleader. You got to tell yourself, it's okay, I'm down, but I will get back up. Like, this is not the end. Do not give up. These are the things that I say to myself, and I encourage others. Anybody that I've been in a relationship with, they can tell you, Tierra, you've changed me. You're very different. Your mindset is different. You make me want to be better. You make me want to reach for the stars. And that's because I do. Y'all call it bougie. I call it manifestation. I call it living the life that I want to live. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm a rural girl, from the country, why can't I make it? Why can't I dream big? Why can't I, do everything that I want to do without being called bougie, without ridicule? You can't live by other people's perception. You just can't. Throw it out the window. It's trash. It's trash. Pure trash. It's garbage. You are you. Do what you do. Like, nobody else's opinion matters. You can't tell me nothing about me that I probably haven't told myself. So that's just where I stand with life, y'all. I'm very much different than I was. I've always been a realist, and I'm still a realist. And if anything else, these experiences have made me understand that you got to be authentic. You don't know when your last day is going to be. You better present yourself, in the light that you wish. You better be you. You better be you. Point blank, period. So that's my story, you guys. I just want to let you know where I was with that, how that went down. Still dealing with the emotions, still processing. Before it's all over, y'all, I'm probably going to have to go to some therapy, honey, because, there's nothing wrong with therapy. Black people think therapy is like the end all be all, but if you need help, you need help. Like, go talk to somebody. It's a lot of trauma and pain out here for nothing. Go talk it out, work it out, be better, grow. So that's all I got for you guys today. As always, be an exclusive addition to someone's life.